Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that sounds honestly straight out of science fiction, but is actually right on the cutting edge of modern medicine. We're tackling prion disease. Let's establish the stakes right out of the gate here. Prion disease is a uniformly 100% fatal condition. There is currently no disease-modifying therapy available. Zero. Once symptoms appear, it's a rapid decline. But what if we completely change how we attack this? What if, instead of using traditional drugs, we use fundamental physics? Well, today, our goal is to explain everything about a radical new proposition from recent medical research, using sound and light to build a functional cure. Okay, let's dive into this comprehensive blueprint. First, we'll cover the invincible prion protein, then sound waves as weapons, followed by lasers and light therapy, the acoustophotonic master plan, crossing the blood-brain barrier, and finally, the roadmap to a cure. Section 1. The invincible prion protein. Understanding the ultimate biological vault. So to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to anchor ourselves to what a prion actually is. Prions are not viruses. They aren't bacteria. In fact, they're not even alive. They are uniformly fatal infectious agents made entirely of misfolded, aggregated, and protease-resistant protein. And because they aren't alive, you can't just kill them with standard antibiotics or antivirals. But because they are biological structures, they do have a physical architecture. And anything with a physical architecture has mechanical weak points. Let's break down exactly what goes wrong here. Normally, you have the cellular protein PRPC. It's got this nice alpha helical structure, it dissolves easily, and it's perfectly healthy. But then you have the infectious prion, PRPSC. A normal protein physically misfolds into this incredibly toxic shape. It becomes beta sheet-rich, highly aggregated, and forms what structural biologists call a four-rung beta-solenoid amyloid scaffold. Basically, it acts like a rogue template, forcing other healthy proteins to misfold into this exact same rigid vault-like shape. And this beta-solenoid shape is terrifyingly resilient. I mean, just think about what these things can shrug off. They resist intense UV irradiation. They survive aldehyde fixation. You can literally boil them and they remain completely infectious. They even survive standard hospital autoclaving at 121 degrees Celsius, and your standard medical detergents don't even make a dent. To actually destroy them in a lab, you need incredibly harsh chemicals, like 1 molar sodium hydroxide, or just massive, massive amounts of heat. Obviously, you cannot do that inside a living human brain. So this virtual indestructibility sets up the urgent need for a totally new, purely physical approach. Section 2. Sound waves as weapons. The hammer. Okay, we really need to slow down here to make sure we explain everything about these fascinating physical mechanics, specifically a process called inertial cavitation, step 1. When you apply high-frequency acoustic pressure to a liquid, microscopic bubbles form. Step 2. Under that intense pressure, the bubble violently and dramatically collapses, generating these tiny but incredibly powerful microjets. Step 3. This collapse creates localized shear stress in the gigapascal range and flash temperatures exceeding 5,000 Kelvin. This mechanical shockwave literally tears apart the intermolecular hydrogen bonds, holding that rigid amyloid structure together. It absolutely shatters the vault. And what researchers found brilliant is that this doesn't just mechanically break things. In live mouse models, repeated focused ultrasound treatments with microbubbles actually reduced beta amyloid plaque numbers by 27%, and the overall surface area by 40%. You see, the acoustic waves effectively wake up the brain's own microglial cells. Think of them as the brain's immune cleanup crew, prompting them to clear out all that shattered protein debris through phagocytosis and autophagy. But here is the crucial acoustic danger. We can't just use the hammer alone. If you shatter a prion vault into 100 pieces, but you don't completely destroy those pieces, well, you haven't cured the disease. You've just created 100 new infectious seeds that are going to go on to corrupt other proteins. In fact, research labs actually use sound waves specifically to multiply prions so they can study them. This is why a purely mechanical approach is super dangerous on its own. We need a second tool to finish the job. Section 3. Lasers and light therapy. The scalpel. Now, the research lays out an unbelievable toolkit of light-based weapons. First up, resonant infrared uses a laser tuned to a very specific frequency, the amide I band, which literally vibrates the fibril core until it completely dissociates. Second,
Photodynamic oxidation uses light to activate specific sensitizer chemicals, generating this highly toxic singlet oxygen that aggressively oxidizes and destroys the prion. Finally, plasmonic nanoexplosions use ultra-fast femtosecond laser pulses to hit gold nanorods, creating tiny targeted thermal and acoustic shockwaves right on the prion itself.
Over 4 log. To put that into perspective, this number represents a massive, more than 10,000-fold reduction in prion infectivity achieved in a mouse bioassay. Researchers achieved this using that photodynamic oxidation technique with specific chemical sensitizers illuminated for 90 minutes. It completely eliminated the protease-resistant prion signal. This definitively proves that light, when channeled correctly, can chemically and permanently neutralize the prion threat.
Section 4. The Acoustophotonic Master Plan, Combining Forces for a Cure.
If you take away just one thing from this entire explainer, it should be this: sound opens the door, and light neutralizes the threat. Here is how these combined platforms ensure the prions are totally dismantled and destroyed so they cannot reseed. In a photoacoustic setup, near-infrared lasers excite gold nanorods to create a localized nano-explosion, while ultrasound shear forces break the fibrils apart. In a sonodynamic and photodynamic dual approach, low-intensity ultrasound opens up access deeper into the brain, while red light chemically activates those oxidizing sensitizers we talked about. And with resonant IR plus ultrasound, the laser dissociates the core hydrogen bonds, while the sweeping ultrasound signals the brain's immune system to clear the fragments. They basically cover each other's weaknesses perfectly. Section 5. Crossing the blood-brain barrier. Getting inside the building.
Now, this specific technique is absolutely crucial for modern medicine. By intravenously injecting microscopic contrast bubbles and hitting them with focused ultrasound, those bubbles begin to oscillate. This mechanical movement gently tugs on the tight junctions of the blood vessels, enabling a transient, safe, and reversible opening of the blood-brain barrier. It's huge because it allows us to finally get large molecules like anti-prion antibodies and specialized light sensitizers deep into brain tissue without any invasive surgery.
And you guys, this isn't just theory anymore. The clinical momentum right now is amazing. Safe, transient opening of the barrier has already been proven in humans. Systems like Exablate Neuro are currently being used in early Alzheimer's clinical trials. And get this, when they paired this ultrasound barrier opening with antibodies, they saw a massive 32% greater reduction in brain plaques compared to areas they didn't treat. On top of that, they're developing portable mapping systems, meaning this therapy can actually move out of expensive MRI suites and into much wider clinical use.
Section 6. The Roadmap to a Cure, the Getaway Plan.
So let's look at the timeline and see how this builds into a viable, real-world future. In the short term, Tier 1, over the next 2 to 4 years, researchers aim to use existing clinical-grade ultrasound systems to open the barrier and use sonodynamic therapy to attack the prions. This is highly translatable right now. Moving to Tier 2 in 4 to 7 years, we'll see the development of specific devices, like targeted photoacoustic gold nanorods delivered via laser fiber. And looking farther out to Tier 3, 7 to 12 years from now, the ultimate goal is a fully automated, closed-loop monitor and destroy system. It would literally detect prions seeding activity in the spinal fluid in real time and instantly trigger a localized acoustophotonic blast to neutralize it before it spreads.
As the source material so perfectly puts it, the convergence point is photoacoustics and sonodynamics, where light absorption generates precisely localized sound, and sound activates light sensitizers deep in brain tissue. It really is a truly brilliant synergy of physics and biology.
Which leaves us with this final, kind of mind-blowing thought. If we can engineer sound waves and light particles to safely dismantle the most heavily armored, indestructible protein structure known to medicine entirely without traditional drugs, what else can they cure? The acoustophotonic era of medicine might just be getting started.